Welcome to the GCC Podcast presented by Gateway. We are honored to welcome Rajesh Menon, Vice President Global Business Services at CrowdStrike, as our esteemed guest today. Thank you, Rajesh, for joining us. And I'll just introduce you quickly before we start rolling.
Sure.
With a distinguished career spanning multiple continents and industries, Rajesh has been instrumental in establishing and scaling global shared services operations. As a strategic leader, he has driven transformational growth, led mergers and acquisitions, and championed change management. His expertise in innovation, process reengineering, and inclusive leadership makes him a powerhouse in the global business landscape. We look forward to his insights and expertise in today's session. Welcome, Rajesh, and so glad to have you here today.
Likewise, Suchita. Absolutely happy to be here. And thank you for the introduction. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rajesh. So, with your extensive experience, which spans different industries, different geos, specifically in setting up and scaling global shared services across industries, what are the key trends do you see shaping the future of GBS in the next 5 years?
Interesting question. Suchita, I wouldn't fall behind on this. First thing I would really like to prioritize and say that generative AI, Gen AI, digital transformation, I think that's going to be the next big thing which is going to drive the complete GBS foray as of now. It's going to be a combination of evolved skill sets humanly, but digital transformation is going to take away a lot the way how we do things, how we are going to make our decisions. Skill metrics is the systems which are going to be making a lot more empowered way into our organization. I think GBS is going to evolve a lot more. If you look at it in the past, we've been managing back offices, middle offices. We get beyond that now. I think the way forward now for GBS in India, at least specifically, which I want to close to, because India is phenomenally going to be the next big, or is the big place where the most GBS is happening. We literally have around 2.5 lakhs of people, I mean, GBS organizations which are going to be set up in the next few years. So that's my first call out, and how we're going to do on empowered systems, and we're going to make digital transformations based on GI is the way forward. That's the thought process for now.
Thanks.
And to add on to that, I mean, if we have to look at it, we will be clearly shifting away a lot from how GBS has been performing. The first one was identity wave. We'll be moving away from working more siloed. We'll be working in more integrated hubs. We'll be working on more broader strategy transformation formats.
Yes.
Earlier, if it was all about siloed and a little bit of processes, and we're talking functions, but then the whole diaphragm conversation has changed from where it is as of now. We want to have more enhanced hubs. We want people. It's never going to be a cost centric conversation anymore. It's a thing of the past. We don't look at India and GBS anymore where it's going to case a save cost. It's going to be the strategic outputs which are going to make a big difference. How we're going to make decisions here. How we're going to give back to the organization, make evaluation value propositions, build through across based on technologies, how we can scale through some metrics. That becomes extremely important. Third, I think we are going to be working on a lot of emerging markets. It's another foray to where to get into. We are not going to be concentrating on few regional aspects anymore. We will look at how emerging markets can make a big advantage on it. Moving skills across, being mobile is an extremely important thing when you talk about it. I know how many of them would love it, but then GBS is always going to be somewhere we're going to find hybrid and working back from office. It's going to be more about coming under one roof and start working a lot more. That's a way forward to scale. That's where we see that going in next 5 years at least. It's going to be a very dynamic situations in how decisions are made and why we will choose. The location strategies become extremely important. The skill sets become extremely important. We are going to go beyond technology companies. We're going to go beyond. There's so much of different verticals. It's never going to be a finance or a HR more than that. We're going to have data centers, technological hubs, which are going to become part of GBS in the coming future.
Similar to what you said, change is the big constant in this space. So
It
thank
is.
you
It is. It's been
for
dynamic. Yeah, absolutely.
very dynamic, yes. So, as a leader in innovation, even transition, and we spoke about transition and the M&A space within GBSs, what are some of the biggest challenges that you think organizations face when they're integrating new business units, right, during M&A process? And how can they navigate these complexities effectively?
Got it. See, when you talk about GBS, the first thing which always comes, which is complex, is going to be the cultural alignment. It is it is how you marry your organization thought process and culturally where it's set across. That becomes very, very important. So when you ever set up a GBS, what you always look for is that how culturally evolved. That's why if you look at it, India is considered as a GBS hub because we culturally so able to work with you. You can talk across the globe. Global business centers going forward. We don't work on regional centers, which are anymore. If you look at it, when you talk about any GBS, we say that this is a global center. Alongside that, we also need to embark on the organizational culture. What's the theory of the organization? Why would they want that? How do they want to go about it? So that alignment is extremely important. It's a total driving force in how a GBS needs to drive its own success factors, and it's a both way. It's a theoretically a both way story because an organization needs to understand how a culture in, let's say I'm taking an example of India because I'm close to it, how you need to understand what works in India, and also you need to take it back to say that, let's say if you're working for a European company, what works well for them, how you need to work through across. So cultural alignment makes a big difference. Apart from that, I would say that technology and process, I've always said that it is important how you're measured going forward. When you're talking about measurements, it is how your systems are readied for that. It's just not, it's going to go beyond ERPs anymore now. It's about how strategically your systems can perform and scale the way your business is run. When you think about it, are you humanly possible to work with your systems in such a way? Constant upgrades, which needs to be there. It is an important factor that every time you need to keep refining your systems. You cannot stay back and say that the legacies have worked for us and that's the way it's going to work forward too. It's never going to work that way. So you will have to keep your upgrades going on. You'll have to keep your system enhancements going on. You need to find better ways of automations. RPA is a big deal about how you want to look at your processes going in. Immediate turnarounds on measurements and how you can scale things. That's very, very important. Third factor, I think continuous improvements, being agile. It is extremely important that GBS has to keep evolving because I've seen organizations not do great is because they stick with what they're doing as their processes because they
Yes.
believe it's working well. Working well, status quo is not a good status quo according to me. It needs to work better. There has to be a progression on that, and continuous improvement is a way forward. As much as we speak loud about and we voiced about fact, we say that change is the way forward, but it is existing even the way you work. It's existing in your processes, it's existing in your
Yes.
systems, it's existing in your people. So people, process, systems, irrespective of what you talk to, your change in constant improvements, continuous improvements becomes a very, very big factor in what you have to. Fourth comes the change management. I think
Yes.
that's a very important factor. Change management and communication plays a key role. I'm a big fan of over communicating. I think it's better more said than understated. So I think when you look at different change managements, how your hierarchy structures work, your top-down communication formats, your bottom-top
Yes.
communication formats needs to drive a lot about it, and that gives you a lot of takeaway as to how things are working and how things can get better. So I would say these four probably are my big numbers, big takeaways on this.
I love the way you spoke about the three C's: culture, change, and communication.
Absolutely.
Going a little more on that front, given the increasing focus on culture inclusivity, and we spoke about change, of course, and this whole process of re-engineering in the shared services space, what are the strategic steps that leaders can take to ensure long-term sustainability and excellence, business excellence, that they are rapidly evolving in the global markets as well, while all this is happening?
No, it's a lot. I mean, when you talk about it, when you talk how re-engineering becomes a factor, re-engineering does not define just with systems as of now. When we talk about re-engineering, it starts right from the top, from leadership and decision making. Reconsidering a decision or making a change and how different styles of leadership which makes an impact. Re-engineering becomes a part of that. Going back to the boardrooms and the whiteboards and defining and saying that how we can make things different becomes extremely important. Now, when we talk about it you need to understand GBS also goes when alongside re-engineering. You go along with you become more you become more social, you become more cultural, you get to a point of even where GBS gets into a give back to the societies in a lot of different ways, not just a process driven organizations anymore, and that kind of decision making makes a big impact. So the economic social governance is an extremely an important thing, how we look at GBS. So that becomes a driving force in the way we look at it. The CRMs and upgrades is become a big format in where your systems are going to be reporting back, I would say, on actuals, at time frames. It's not going to delay. You will get to a format where you will click buttons and you will get your outputs much faster. the turnarounds and that, the preparations on those kind of systems become very, very crucial in the way how re-engineering works through, how we want to look at things in different ways. I think the processes and redundant workflows are going to move away. We're gonna get a little beyond SOPs at times. We're gonna not talk about documentations anymore. The plug and play concept is going to be very, very rampant nowadays because every organization is talking about how fast they are developing, how much they're moving. Everybody wants to conquer the bigger pie. And as much as speed is where it is, it's also important how agile and you're re engineered to do that. So your preparedness becomes extremely crucial. Proactively looking at how your systems, how your thought process works, and what's coming up in the curve is a better way. I think we won't be doing a lot of reactive management going forward. That kind of legacy is moving away from now on. So we're going to be a lot more proactive in the way how we look at things and what we move on. That's one of the going. A lot of tools which are going to be more in process mining. There are a lot about psychological and emotional intelligence, which is going to get part of the organization. It's going to be the conversation around. I would say it was spoken much. It was somewhere in some format managed in the past. Now it's going to be well orchestrated. That's a better way to put it. It is going to be a conversation you cannot neglect any further when you talk about it, and there's a lot of balance in how employee centricity works through based on these kind of psychological and EQs and intelligence which works through across, that becomes very, very crucial for the organizations. So when you look at that, it becomes part of the whole pie how you want to take this further.
Yeah, I love the point you made because you've just gone over and beyond talking only tech and AI because culture is a whole lot of
True.
stuff coming together. And when we're talking about more inclusive workspaces, it includes the style as well of
True.
how, different management and leadership drives the organization goals and objectives. So thanks for your points. And now we're moving to an interesting side of this podcast. And we'll have three questions posed to you. These are
Sure.
more to understand you as an individual, as a person.
Got it. Got it.
Um,
I didn't sign up for this, but I'm going for it. Go for it.
okay, so if you could have any superpower, what would that be? Any one superpower?
Any one superpower.
For me, it's the ability to see the future. That's the big superpower. What about you?
I'll put it in a very, I would say it's not the tactical way, but for me, I would say that uh, any superpower, if I can redefine anything, I would like to have the superpower where I would just say that if I have an option to make things better, I would like to take it. So it could be anything tangible. It could be a system which we're talking like if I want to change an education system or if I want to
Wow.
increase a wonderful home science of a hospital, the way we're looking at patients and cure, if we can do something better. So I would, since it's a walk the talk, I wish I had the power to change things. That's only one superpower I would have.
What's your favorite way to celebrate a big win?
Oh, I'm a big people person. I believe in engaging and sharing. I think there is no better power than teamwork and unity and how we can get through things together. Nobody achieves. You can go fast when you're alone, but when you're with your team, you go
Yes,
sharper and better. Your success is bigger. So I'm big on team playing. So I would always celebrate with my people who are part of the success. I don't think any of my success is driven by myself
that's
independently.
lovely.
It's a lot to do with all the people who are behind the scenes or the ones who've been above me who've supported. So it's a lot about it. There's a whole lot of mentors who've groomed the way I am, the way I can think. So my success is always going to be with my whoever I would find close and the people who really are responsible to it.
Thank you. My next is okay, what's that one word your friends would use to describe you?
Different.
Different.
Different. Yeah. I, I like to look at an aspect always a little different than the norm. I believe that's the way forward. So I can give you a small note on that one. So when you make a decision, it's always about you can have three solutions to a problem. The decision making is about choosing the right solution. Yeah, people think there's always one solution to a problem. I'm a person who believes there are three solutions to any problem. You can look at it in very different ways. The power of making that one important solution can be outside the box. It need not be the same. It could be a little bit from exposed from the past, but whatever it is. So I think everybody knows me that I could think a little different out of the box. That's one of the ways.
That's lovely. Thank you. It was lovely, getting to know you and also
Likewise.
to get your insights on the shared services model that you've worked in the past. Thank you for your time today,
Appreciate it.
Rajesh.
Thank you, Suchita. I mean, I know it's taken a lot to get here, but then it's lovely meeting you in person. Been a wonderful host. I really enjoyed the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you.